Hello and welcome into the Sorare Data Show. I am Andrew Laird. You can find me as Lairdinho on Sorare. Slightly late. I literally got a phone call, which I never get, like 4 minutes ago, and I pretty much had to take it. Everything's fine. It was really it's not anything big. But I was like, man, what are the odds that the timing happens there? And then I remembered that the last solo show I did before I went on holiday, I started early, and the show was a disaster. And I was like, you know what? Yeah, let's new game, same Lairdinho. I might never be on time ever again, as I misspeak already. Anyway, thank you to everybody for coming in. DNP Donkey, day one, first podium of the new era. Let's go. Bob Franklin, can I trade podiums for a button? Lagging out on the website while trying to manually input my lineups was not the best experience. And Parabolica Gamer podium, you did, yeah. Austin Farr, I don't know that name. First loser, but no, we're all winners here. You just didn't quite get on the podium. That's all. Vice 91, Ben Johnson, what's up? Mikey Baston, howdy mates. Just like happened when EPL was formed, so we're making out that it itself did not exist prior to game week 1. Yeah. We'll get into that. That's a weird one. John Andrews, hello. Cameron said, we can never be back because we are a totally new game. That's interesting. I never even really thought of that. Yeah, Mike, hope you got that beer out of the fridge. Stefan, hello. Guia, La Liga, Gia, hello, SD community. Major NFT, hello. Ryan Dino, the Friday music is always quite relaxing. I agree. It kind of has that like island vibe to it. And I messed that up 2 weeks ago also when I was early. So yeah. Scosmo said, Guaita is out. I want out. Really? What happened? What happened to this? Oh, and I'm already getting thrown off. Mingueza, 90%. Who said they were 90%? Actually, while we're on that topic, well, let me keep saying hello to everyone. Whoa, sorry. Scosmo said they're ashamed of everything they had and ruined and want to pretend it never happened so that everything looks great when it isn't. That's harsh. That's harsh. Angelo, new season equals no more lurking. Let's go. Let's go. I appreciate that. Firstly, thank you for watching all of this time. And then, yeah, now joining the chat. The chat's fun. I'm telling you, nobody participates in the chat because like they have to, or they're just like begrudgingly doing it. It's part of the fun. Carol said 46,000 lineups in Cap 250 limited. We really need a little shift from league play only in the new Sorare. 46,000. That's absolutely crazy. That's crazy. Parrot Press, what is up? Angus, hello. Apparently Guaita was a risk, but whatever. Ryan Dino, we know we're back when the Friday music is playing with a show from Hawaii. I would love to do a show from Hawaii. Yeah. Sorry, I just got the notification. One of my players from my Midtjylland Rivals lineup was benched. I'm assuming it's Simseer, but let's take a look. What do we got? I'm doing it on my phone here. Oh, it's Soren. Oh, Simseer starts. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Why? And Juninho starts? What are we doing, guys? Emi Martinez is starting? Why are we doing this? Just ruining the midweek. Chalufa, I have nobody. Oh, man. Guys, we're going to code red here. Anyway. Major NFT said, how will they handle ties? Traditionally, they've handled them by whoever was there first. First come, first win, which is really silly. But that's what it is. Genesis, what's up? Mike Basson, right. Beer open now. Time to remove the pants. That's right. I don't know if that's is that what we want this channel to be? I'm not sure we do. We'll see. GS said, so many competitions now. I want the button to tell me in which competition I should play. I mean, there's nobody should tell you what to do. Sorry, I'm really thrown off by this Rivals thing that I need to figure out who to play my lineup. Chalufa. What do we have left? 50 points left. Can't get Emmy in there. Why is Franco starting? What are we doing? What is this lineup? That's really what I should just look at. Sorry, I'm so thrown off. I was really hoping we'd get more information on Midtjylland. You guys will appreciate this. Let me see if I can pull it up here. This is what happens when I like pull up the games page when Midtjylland play. We're redesigning this page anyway, but there you go. So let's see. Paulinho, yeah. Oh, Mads Beck is not starting. That's who it is. This lineup is surely not right. Juninho here. Sorensen here. Martinez here. Damn. That hurts. That hurts. Anyway. Let's see. Let me catch up. Sorry. More importantly, let me finish my Rivals lineup here. I don't even like this lineup anymore. I can't believe Sims here is starting after all that. Okay, that's set. My apologies for all of that. Terrible way to start, but Rival, I gotta play Rivals. Anyway, Cameron said, I want to be able to use the button, but got nowhere to play my cards. Really? Nowhere? I wish there was a competition for top 5 scores in your collection. For top sky, what does that mean? I don't know what that means. David Weiss, what is your strategy for this season? Just to win, baby. Just to win as much as I can. Anyway, so what was I going to talk? Oh, first things first. The button has been very exciting for people who have it and very frustrating for people who don't. And I get it. We get it. We didn't want to roll it out to everybody for fear that it would something happen. Like we tested it internally. We had a few people help us out with the test beforehand, but to get like a mass number of people using it probably at the same time, it's tough to simulate that. And so we didn't want to have all star members available to have it right away. And just to make sure that whatever issues we came up with this week, we could check next week, make sure that it's better for next week. And I think I did a very poor job because generally this type of communication comes from me, not necessarily like my Twitter account, but the Sorare data account and the other forms that we communicate with people. When we said it would be rolled out in waves, and I think totally understandably, people took that as like, if you didn't get it yesterday, you'd get it today. And it was basically a miscommunication on my part, and I apologize for that. But the wave was more like we had a set number of people we were going to do for this game week, and we were hoping to then open it up to all star members basically for next game week, like next midweek Monday. And I did a very poor job communicating that specifically, excuse me. And so I apologize for that for people who were kind of like waiting. And I think part of the waiting was also constantly refreshing Sorare data today. And at the same time, we had like a deluge of traffic on the site, which obviously messed it up today. The lineup builder was kind of slow. I know lineup projections for people who put their lineup projections in later, they were so thrown off by it because there were some problems. And I want to be very clear here that we like totally understand your frustration with the site not working, and understand that we are just as frustrated, if not more frustrated, because not only do we use the site, like the reason why the site, everything on the site is as it is because we play and we do all of the things that you're doing. And at the same time, the fact that this is something that we work on and we don't want it to fail whenever, but specifically at this deadline. So we appreciate everybody who kind of reaches out and is like, hey, this isn't working. Not as appreciative of the people who basically are cursing our lives because the site's not working. Like we know it's not working, and maybe we do a better job of publicizing that we know it's not working. But generally we're taking the time to try to fix the problem. So apologies for the site not working like it should have. Apologies for not telling you that this next wave of users for the button would probably not be until the next game week. And hopefully that's just like Sorare. Hopefully that's all behind us. And today is day one. And yeah, hopefully that's enough apologizing for now. Anyway, Adam already has the button, so he didn't care. Ricamon said, have you seen how in-season La Liga Division 1, there are fewer entries than cash places in limited and rare? Massive screw up from Sorare, just giving the bigger galleries money. Major NFT said a status page would be handy, but I figured you were slammed. We have one when like the site is totally down. I don't know how you do that. I'm not hired to do that stuff, but you're probably right. We probably do need something like that. And it doesn't really change anything other than gives you the peace of mind that you're not going crazy because your Sorare data is not working. Again, like you can understand that that's probably the busiest time of the entire week for us, is like the out 1 or 2 hours before the deadline. And we really generally pride ourselves for having the site always working then. And like, we don't deploy anything the day of a deadline specifically for the reason that like if something happens, the site goes down. And so it was unfortunate that it happened today. We didn't want it. We never want it to happen. We obviously don't want it to happen then, but it did. And hopefully we have figured out what the fix is and we're doing it. Anyway, Philly Dilly, I see your comment about my tweet. Yeah, let's start with that. What was I even talking about before? New Sorare? Anyway, let's talk about this first, because lineup projections are obviously a very popular topic now. We have some on Sorare data. There's obviously Sorare Inside and Predictor Fly, and we just like it ever since Plays Harper went down or stopped, I don't know, I hate to say went down, but was taken down. Lineup projections are obviously a very popular topic. And the thing that I always struggled with lineup projections is the way that there's kind of this generally accepted process of showing how confident you are in a pick. So you're like, oh yeah, I think there's a 95% chance this guy starts. And here's like a 70% chance that this guy starts. And what Philly Dilly said here, so I did a Twitter poll, which if everybody wants to go over there and vote. Let me pull it up here. So there's actually 2 of them, but if you just go to like at Andrew M. Laird on Twitter, I'm curious, like if a lineup predictor says a player's 60% to start, are they correct if the player starts or if they don't start? And what Philly Dilly was saying here is it's not about being right or wrong, but if you see something that says this guy is 60% to start, then you know that there's a risk that they won't. And I'm curious where that line is, because I initially said it was 70 because I was in a Discord recently where I forget who the player was that somebody was asking about, but it was basically like, do we think this player will start? And somebody was like, oh, well, whoever it was has them at 70%. And that player ended up not starting. And days, like the prediction is done, obviously days before the game. Well, not obviously, but this one was done days before the game. And so when the lineup came out, I don't know if it was the person who actually did the prediction. I actually don't think they were, but they were like, oh, so that player ended up not starting. And they were like, see, the 70% was like, oh, you saw that there was a risk. And so I read that as like, all right, so every time you write somebody is 70% and they don't start, you're going to consider that as being correct because you said there was a risk and they didn't start. But if they do start, you're like, well, yeah, 7 out of 10, he was going to start. And so I think the biggest issue that I have with lineup projections as a whole, this has nothing to do with like how, the two new Plays Harpers work, but there's no standard. And so one guy, says, I think this, every player that I think will definitely start, I'm putting it 90%. And somebody else puts it at like 95%. And so there's just no consistency in terms of person to person. And this is because everybody does them differently. And so you could, if, one person does the whole, like Deke, if Deke does all of MLS, like, that his 70% for one player is equal to 70% for another. But if somebody else, it could be totally different. Like D could think 70% is like likely to start, and somebody else is like they're likely to rotate, which I know sounds weird to say 70% because theoretically, if they're unlikely to start, they would be below 50%. But some people are just like that, and or 60%, let's call it. And it's like there's a risk, and it's like it's helpful to understand that the risk is there. But that's it. You're just saying I don't know. And so how helpful does that end up being? And I think people who read them also feel like it's very different. It's like Charlie said, 51% plus means they start, as it's more likely than not. Right. But if you saw somebody's like 55% to start, you'd be like, I don't know. That sounds like they're not starting, even though 55%. And so there's just like, I understand why we do it, but I wonder how helpful it actually is. And I think the number one reason why people want lineup projections for like to see them, and I think we need to be really honest with ourselves about this, is so we can blame someone else when we're wrong. And so there's I don't think anyone, most people are not putting in the time to make sure every single one of their players is going to start. And so this whole like do your own research is now really kind of whittled down to like, oh, I checked lineup projections. And is that doing your own research? And I think I've actually talked about that before. And it's not that it's not research, but you're probably not doing the amount of work that the person who is making the projection and seeing what they're doing. But also it's like if a player just kind of like always starts and then there's no news and then they don't start, like you had them at 80% and now we're all wrong. You had them at 90%, 95% because they always, we just don't know. It's all guessing. And the response of like, well, it's good to know that there's a risk is only good until the lineup comes out. And if you're right or wrong, then it's like, you got it wrong. Like that's all people care about at that point. And that's part of the reason why on Sorare data, we didn't want to have like specific people doing specific projections, because what we saw from a lot of people, not a majority, but like people who do lineup projections on other sites and get them wrong, like people like contact them and they're like, you missed this. You got this wrong. You ruined my lineup. And that's not an experience that we want to bring to anybody. And I appreciate that, like when you go into it, that's going to happen. But again, like how helpful is it to know that a player is 70%, 75, 80% to play when not everybody's 70, 75, and 80 is the same? Like Charlie said, anything below 70 or 75%, I would consider shaky. Philly Dilly said, if it's below 80%, then I consider it a risk. David said, to me, if it's not 100%, normally I won't play him, especially on obvious picks. Tom said, to me, it depends on the team or player. I'm not sure I'd trust a 100% to start in the K-League compared to a Prem team, or a Prem player, excuse me. Vice said, anything below 90% makes me second guess. And Ricoman said, that's why I think the notes are a massive help, which totally agree. And that is something that we're looking to do on Sorare data. I'm not here to like tell you that the Sorare data ones are vastly better than everything else. I think that having some sort of note system would help tremendously. Like when a player who is maybe suspended or is ruled out and it's not like, there was an example, it was Hulk a few weeks ago. Well, when he suffered his latest injury, it was in a cup match. And so on Sorare data, like there's no evidence that he got hurt because like, oh, last game, yeah, he played 90 minutes. And so you have to like go in and like find out, oh, there was a cup match. Oh, he got hurt. And if somebody could just like share something on our lineup projection page, like, hey, Hulk got hurt, it would be a lot more helpful. Like that's something we're definitely talking about. Ryan said, predictions are taken too much as gospel. It's impossible for anyone to know if a player will wake up sick in the morning of a game or a manager will have a last minute change of plan. So Ryan, I'll actually add to this that it's also impossible for anyone to know what the lineup is potentially before the manager knows. Like Monday games, who knows? Philly Dilly said 90 to 95% equals as certain as you can get. 80% is you can be confident they start. 70% you need to consider the risk, and 60% is a coin flip. Frankly, if a coin flip, if you have 60% odds on a coin flip, you'll be rich. Major Entity says, is anyone ever 100%? I've seen some lineup projections with 100%. And the response is like from people like, hey, I appreciate that. You're really confident. Nanzo said anything below 90% as a risk worthy of further investigation. Nanzo, is that if you see that on Sorare data or if you see that on any other site? Like if you went to another site and saw who's a Nick Pope, if Nick Pope is 85% to start this weekend, do you investigate further? Philly Dilly said part of it depends on gallery. If your absolute best elite player is 60%, you might still roll him. If you have a player at 70% with a close backup, the 70% might sit. But why would you play the player more likely to sit? Charlie said, I think that's a poor take. 95% of people use a lineup projection to get a second opinion or check the status of a team player they are not as close to, not to blame someone if your lineup misses. I don't want to say we can agree to disagree because you're probably more right on this than I am. I also don't think most people use it as a second opinion. I think they use it as a first opinion, and a lot of times as an only opinion. Like there's only so much you can do to research a player's availability if they're not injured or in any battle for their job. Like did they play the last few games? Yes. Do they kind of always start when they're fit? Yes. Is there any news that they're hurt or suspended? No. Then they should start. But sometimes they don't. And sometimes like there's so much that we do not know and never know that goes into a manager's decision to make a line, to make a starting 11, that ultimately we're always just guessing. And you can make the argument like that there are team experts that maybe know the team better. So like when they have a midweek game, this guy usually rotates or he could rotate. And at least you're getting the benefit of knowing the risk of your lineup. Like Aral Simsir today was a gigantic risk for me. I took him out of all of my top lineups. He was in all of them, and I took him out because they have a midweek game. He didn't start this midweek, but ended up playing most of the game. And they play next midweek. And midweek games for Midtjylland are super important right now. So I thought he wouldn't start this weekend. But he also started last weekend. And so maybe I just got it wrong. But it was like a risk. And so I decided to take is it even the safer route of not playing him? And now he's playing. Mike said, one thing that gets me are the projections where people do a percentage by position where they may say 70% at right back and 30% at left back, but still 100% means to start, but you need to be alert to this. So Mike, I agree with that. And I also think that's not consistent either. Like there are plenty of times where the player is 70% to start at right back, 30% to start at left back, and they don't start because the guys that were ahead of them start. And so even that's not consistent. John Andrews said, Lairdinho is spot on. I feel like some people expect the experts to check what players ate for dinner the night before the game to check their chicken was cooked thoroughly so they're good to go. That's a great line. Quinny, what's up? Dan, and this is a phenomenal point. Dan said, it depends on the players I can use instead, however. With divisions, I'm less likely to take the risk. I do find that I am much more unlikely to take lineup risks now particularly in a lineup that's in Division 1. And because like the fear of relegation is awful. I'll do it in lower divisions. I'll do it in limited because I don't focus on limited as much myself. And so again, it's nice to know that there's a risk, but also at what point is the person who told you about the risk right or wrong? Because ultimately that's all we care about. Like, how good are you at projecting the lineup? And there's no, what's the word I'm looking for? Standard's not the right word, but like there's no standard to who is right and who is wrong. And I guess you could make that like every time somebody is 70%, like, does it make sense? The other one, and I'll use the example that Mike brought up earlier in terms of, a player that's at 70% in one position and 30% in another. So somebody brought this up to me today that is it like I've never seen this because I'm way too lazy to like calculate it, but have there ever been lineups that people put out? And a lot of people, and not everybody does this, they'll show the 11 and the percentage for each player, but also like the percentage that the player behind them could start. So there have definitely been times where there was an example today, and I apologize. It was one on the two sites. I was using both of them today, Predictor Fly and Sorare Inside. But it was two central midfielders who were 60% to start. 60%? I think they were both 60%. And then there was the single player behind them. Like, it was one player twice, meaning this backup could play for either one of them. And one was 30% and one was 35%. And so if you combine those, the backup was 65%, which is actually higher than the two guys that were supposed to be starting. And so it's like, what do I do with this? Is it three players for two spots, or I don't know what it is. And then it was like, are you right? If two of them start, it's like, yeah, I told you. It's man. David Weiss, I had no intention of talking about lineup projections today, and we're 28 minutes in, and that's all we've talked about. David said, I like the current Sorare data approach. The ones that voted subbed on a regular starter should be forced to add a note that will be shared hovering the player on the lineup builder. And Nanzo said he checks 3 sources and creates a weighted average, which like obviously nobody's doing. Maybe if you had Nanzo's gallery, you'd do it. Philly Dilly said that they have Ollie Watkins and Alex Iwobi. Watkins has some risk. SD has him at 75%. Why would Ollie Watkins be at 75%? I mean, I guess. And we don't have enough experts there. All right. But anyway, so Iwobi was 100%, but Watkins has way more upside than Iwobi, so I played Iwobi. So you weigh upside more than, like, if they play, more than will they play. Cameron said, I'll be honest, I'm lazy and I just check lots of projections. And if they all have a player starting consistently, I will play them. Like, I think most people do what Cameron does. Sorry, knocked my mic there. Vice said 90% by the predictor means no reason they shouldn't start. If they choose anything lower than that, it means there's a reason why he couldn't start, because if you had no reason, it would just be 90. Why is it 90 and not 95? Why is it 90 instead of 99? Alex said, I take week 1 with all of these back up and running as a punt. Euros, Copa America, Olympics, European qualification games just made this a minefield, whole lot easier next year. So that was another thing that I kept seeing. The number of like full lineups I saw where not a single player was 80% to start, and everyone's like, first week, who knows? Nanzo said also common sense plays a big part. That's fair. Major NFT said, I had a guy go on last minute paternity leave. He was 100% to start. I had that in baseball like recently. I forget who it was. Mike Basson said, real life managers have it much easier than us Sorare managers. They should walk a week in our shoes. Amen, Mike. Amen. Carol said the most tricky is when predictor sites have 60% on a player that starts about about 2/3 of the games. It ends up as 100% on Sorare data. Rafinha all of last season, the mighty lineup builder. But like, what do you do in that situation? Like, if a manager's like, yeah, this guy's going to play one of the next 2 games, like, what do you do? According to Cameron, you just make sure they don't have dodgy lasagna. Red Devil 91, what's up? So I'm actually, Rigamon said sometimes it's what they ate before the game, talking from experience. I don't even necessarily think that's not that that's not a problem, but like there's different levels of being wrong with a lineup projection, right? Like there is I mean, we don't really know if they were going to start until, they pull up and warm up. Well, then we do. But like, the bad lasagna. In that situation, like we just don't know. We were right until we were wrong. But the 80% to start when they're suspended or something like that, like if it's known, that's obviously bad. I don't know. NH said 1 game week, and I cannot win La Liga Classic because 7 managers have better XP stack than me. Expected but annoying. I don't think you should be annoyed if it was expected. You should have played a different player. Halogen said, I could tell you everything you need to know about every Man United player and who probably plays and where. I can't say the same for MLS and my Spurs stack. Getting percentages and notes, was there more to that? Helps massively. I mean, I agree. But again, like you could know everything about every Man United player and not get the lineup right because we just don't know. Lairdinho said the life of a Sorare manager: typhoons, earthquakes, and paternity leave. Nanzo said I took Simsir out and bought Joey Veerman to play as cover. Wow, that's fun. I'm surprised you didn't have enough Veermans. Key said, has anyone ever added up all the percentages and seen if they have like 14 plus players at 70% to start? That's fun. Major NFT, it wasn't Yandy Diaz. It was, I forget who it was. Austin said Dodgers have had 5 different guys go on paternity leave 9 months after they won the World Series, which is awesome. Mike Batson said, I feel, quote, careful risk of rotation, unquote, is going to be the most annoying comment on predictions. Yeah, I mean, Rikomon said, I've been told a team by a manager on Friday at 9 p.m. and he then changed his mind by 11 a.m. Saturday. Yeah. I mean, it happens. It happens. It's just, yeah, it's all just, like it's helpful until it's not, and it's not helpful until it is. Like, I think the role of lineup projections, there is a role for them for sure, because it allows somebody else to do work for us that we don't want to do, and it saves us the time of not having to do that work, which I think that's okay. Like Sorare data is like built on the idea of saving you time. Hashtag El Boton. And the lineup projections on Sorare data or on the Sorare Insight or Predictor Fly, like they save the time of going through and making sure your guys are starting. Or you go there and you see somebody suspended without having to like search the local newspapers, or I can't believe I just said newspapers. The local, well, I don't know what they call themselves, the local media sources. Like, it just saves you time. Like, I get it. And paying for that, like, I totally understand it. But what I really struggle with is figuring out if these people are using the same metrics that other people are in terms of whether they're right or wrong. And also curious just kind of how everybody else felt about them. Meaning, like, when you see something, at what point do you have to do more research? Or do you not do any research beyond looking at the note that says, like, this guy's 70% because he was ill last week and might still be, or they just signed a new player and the new player might play. Like, do you read that note and you're just like, okay, I know the risk. Now I will keep going, or do you do more research? Nanzo said it's better to have the best info possible at the deadline than setting lineups blind. Things can change, aren't certain is a given. Yeah, agreed. Lairdinho said the more criticism the predictors get, the more safe their picks will become in terms of percentages, which then doesn't help anyone using them, which is true. Yeah. Like, if everyone, they get so much shit from people because maybe they got one or two wrong. And now it's like, all right, fine. I'm just going to put everybody at 70%. And you're right, that doesn't help. Charlie said, for me, it comes down to trusting predictors, whether that be guys on Patreon, the two news sites, or Sorare data, gaining that trust over the season and understanding what their 95% or 50% is and what that means. That's fair. It takes a long time, though. Yeah, I think that I think there's a gigantic benefit in hearing what people who follow the teams really closely think. And that's kind of what these predictor sites are. These are people who whether you call them experts or whatever, they're just generally more knowledgeable about the team. They probably watch every game, or plenty of them. They read all the news that you're not reading. And so the idea is that we pay them to read for us and tell us what to do, or tell us if there are any risks. And if there are, then we can proceed knowing that. And I think the idea with the Sorare data ones, and I still think that they're generally misunderstood, but also part of that is because I don't think we do a great job of truly explaining what it is, or explaining kind of what the appropriate thresholds are. And maybe we need to change them. Yeah. Anyway. John said we need a Sorare prediction percentage industry standard. And Halogen said, I trust Deke's predictions 100%, but I also know that he can get them wrong. And he knows that. And I think it's kind of a back and forth, because, and I've talked about this with Keith, Gator Guy 231, because he kind of hates, like, people putting like 60%, or he feels it's like a cop out. But I think that the response is, like, sometimes those guys, like, we don't know. And so the line of predictors are telling you, like, it's not knowable. Unknowable, I think, to know who's going to start. And so it at least gives you the understanding that if you're picking a player in this situation, there's a risk. And Leagues Cup taught us just that basically every player is 60% and 50% or 40%, whatever it is. And that's right, John. Yeah. Deke is the first to admit that. Yeah. Yeah. Mark said it'd be nice to see a prediction which tells us at least we'll be on the bench. I mean, yeah, I guess. We can't get that from, I would assume that if a player is not going to be on the bench, he would be just 0%. That's how I would take it, at least. But again, that's back to everybody is different. Mark said, I say this because of the point change from Sorare, where you get subbed in, you get 35 points instead of 25. Well, being on the bench is not the same as likely to sub in, right? Like, Major NFT says, like, how would you know about Josef Martinez when the coach says he betrayed him? Does he not play? What percentage is that? Well, not playing would be 0% to start. But yeah, I don't know. So I was going to talk about the new Sorare. I guess this is part of it, figuring out our lineups and who's going to play. It feels weird that Sorare has put their entire history like away, and feels like today is, like I said, is day one. And obviously it should have been like Tuesday when we all started submitting or opening our lineup or making lineup, excuse me, for this game week, as if you didn't make game week 502 or game week 1 lineups months ago. But it feels like the move to game week 1, which feels weird because their whole game week calendar for special weeklies included the 50 whatevers. But it feels like the admission that the game is where they want it to be now, and that everything leading up to this game week was in preparation of this game week. Andy said, I don't understand the take that this has anything to do with history. I think Lairdinho said, day one is the future of fantasy sports, not the NFT company that cost us all a fortune. I think there was a point where, and Tom said, or is it just game week 1 of the 2024-25 season, which is also a great question. It doesn't really apply because we have like J League, K League, MLS, Brazil that have been playing League MX. But anyway, they see it as a fresh start for managers. It's the next chapter. Charlie said a user coming in and seeing game week 502 probably felt very intimidating. Major NFT post threshold. That's an interesting one. I think it's kind of Sorare indicating that that this is the game now. That everything we've done, until now was getting us ready for today and the future. So it's, we'll see. But this is it. Sorry, I keep getting messages. I don't know if it felt all that different. Ryan said they only coded the game weeks to allow 3 digits and realize it's early enough to change. Braden said seeing game week 1 is cool. My first week I played was like 397 or something like that, and it was indeed a little intimidating seeing how late I was getting in. That's interesting. Huh. That's very interesting. Let me see. I don't remember when I submitted my first lineup. I submitted like dummy lineups for a while, but my first reward was game week 154. That's how long I've been around. So 500 is crazy. It's a lot. But yeah, it just seems like maybe this is an indication that like all of the things we did in the past got us to here. This is the game that we're presenting, and this is the start of it. And I think this is said perfectly. It almost feels like we left the beta. Yeah. And now what we're playing is the game. No more free money with your thresholds. Forget about using Kikuchi and Cecilia to win Mbappe. Just forget it. And he said, were the game weeks even truly numbered? Like, was that accurate? Did they include replay weeks? It's funny you say that because it does feel like there was like a jump between like 8 and 100 or something like that. I have no idea if they actually had 501 game weeks. Yeah. Cameron said, my first was game week 435 and I still feel new, which that is pretty new. Welcome. We should refer to, that is great. Carol said we should refer to game weeks as game week AT and BT, after and before threshold. And Andy, with the audacity, I don't know why I struggled with that one, to say I think game week number is just completely meaningless. How dare you? You probably didn't win a game week 200 reward. I did hear Harry and Quinny on the deadline stream today talking about how they didn't do anything for game week 500. And after game week 501, which is midweek, they were like, hey, we're done. Game week one's next. And how they didn't do anything for game week 300, 400. I don't even know like where in the calendar we were for those. But yeah, they don't seem to celebrate that stuff very much. And so, yeah. And John Andrews, this is a great idea. Game weeks should just get referred to by fruits then from now on. Oh, Andy said he has a beautiful limited Jordi Alba from game week 200. All right. I see you, Andy. I see you. Ricomon said, talking about random stuff, looks like Morten Heilmand might be injured for tomorrow. So there goes one team. Who's that person again? Morton. What a name. Oh, from Sporting. Right. Papaya special incoming. You got it, Ryan. You got it. And Halogen said, wasn't there game week 1 or 8 or something during the Global Club? Yeah. And the World Cup made the even game weeks odds. And then we got back to odds. Excuse me. We got back to evens on the weekends with the Euros. And then almost right away, they're like, nah, game week 1's a weekend. So odds are weekends now. Do we know that next midweek is game week 2? Or is it like so embarrassingly small and frustrating that it's like 1.5? You wouldn't know if you went on Sorare because they just use dates. Oh, I'm sorry, they do. Oh, it is game week 2. I stand corrected. Can we not put in 3? Oh, wait, U20. I don't want U23. Isn't there not? Oh, discover new competition. Sorry. I think All-Stars 3. Yeah, 3 entries now. I don't even want to talk about how bad midweeks are going to be now. Mike, you're right. I sit corrected. Although I will say, to let you guys in on a little secret here, now that we're almost 48 minutes in, I think I'm going to change up this studio here. Well, I'm definitely going to. I'm painting this room soon. I actually have some samples right here, literally. And I was thinking about standing, not like full weatherman standing, but like a standing desk. I don't know why, but like if I was standing, is that any better content? Or is it better that I'm sitting because we're like having a chat together? Maybe I need like a big like leather chair in the corner. Mike said you can't stand as you're not wearing pants. Well, it would still be like up here. I just have to make sure there's no mirror behind me. Ryan said, Laird going full Ryan Spoon presentation mode. Lairdinho, can you please confirm or deny if you are Ryan Spoon? Get the Sorare data logo painted on the wall. I thought about it. Fraxy, ooh, I don't know that name. What's up, Fraxy? You would look more professional, a businessman. I used to be a businessman, to be honest. I worked on Wall Street, if you will. Wore a suit for a while. Actually, just threw that suit out. Yeah, I'm curious. It won't be like a weatherman, like the camera's like way away from me and I'm standing in front of like a green screen. Halligan said I should do it laying down. Oh, so that was my question. Yeah. Like what if I got like a big like leather recliner and I had like a drink here and like a cigar and the camera's just, and we just like chat Sorare, like a fireside chat. Oh man. Oh wait, sorry. Lairdinho can neither confirm nor deny. All right, I see you, Spoon. I see you. You need to get a laser pointer. I don't want to do that. I do have a ruler here somewhere. Therapy room setup. Yeah. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Like I know who Andrew Tate is, but I don't know what this means, Mike, that I'm going Andrew Tate on you. I know he's horrible. Apologies for people who like him. But like that's what I know about the guy, that he's just awful. Brings a bad taste to people who hear the name Andrew, which we don't have here. Replace that egg behind you with a ball. Egg? Like this? The baseball? Oh, apparently Andrew Tate has a big couch and lays down. Okay. No shortage of guests for a therapy session. Ooh, a game week countdown clock. That's fun. Huh. Upgrade the wall color from limited to super rare. That's fun. That's a fun one. I think he means the football. Oh, so the only reason that football is there, that American football is there, is because we bought it for a Sorare data trip when we were in Miami. The house we stayed in had a pool, and we were like, hey, we should have a football to throw around. And yeah, it was great watching like 12 French guys try to figure out how to throw a football like that, American football like that. Ben said a Wall Street ticker was so rare news if we're dreaming. We could probably do a ticker with like prices. I don't know how easily I would be able to like get it to update it, but Gia said standing will help with back health and concentration, but will look more childish like crazy druggy DJ. Better sitting with whiskey and cigars for NFT gambling stock trader style content. Yeah, no, I think it would look very similar to this, but who knows? Major NFT said a ticker with injuries. What about a ticker with starting percentages from predictions? How about that? They make no sense because I do this every day, and so on Tuesday you're like, that guy, who knows if he'll start? Anyway, yeah, we'll see. But yeah, I am going to redo this. I think the logos are going to come down. I'm pretty sure right here, this wall is going to be the signed Midtjylland shirt, but maybe not. I might change walls. I got 3 of them in here. Windows over here, so I can't do it there. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Graham said, are you still drinking Rare Essence? Today is just water. Just water today. Yeah. But yeah, new So Rare. I'm glad we talked about lineup projections because I had nothing. Like I didn't have an hour worth of game week 1 with an asterisk talk. I hope everyone's lineups are doing well, or we're okay. Mike said you're a whale, which I don't know if that's a compliment or an insult. He said just get an adjustable height desk so you can stand or sit depending on mood. Yeah, I'll do that. I like that. I would get an adjustable one. Yeah. Have you told Sean yet that you're going to have to take down his drawings? No, these are by my kids. My kids drew all of these. And I thought I had another one, but I guess not. But yeah, no, my kids do those. Some common essence today. That's right. So here's a question. If I move to this adjustable standing desk thing, do I stand for the shows that I think are important, or do I sit for those? And like, how offensive is it if somebody like comes on and like they know that the standing ones are more important and they come on and I'm just sitting? Do you think that people feel insulted? I don't know. Major NFT said, so what's your suggestion with the new Cat 250? It might be time to pare down the gallery on subpar players. Well, it's not regular, right? So I would absolutely never have a strategy based around Cat 250. Mike said, stand for good news, sit for bad, or vice versa. Maybe. Braden said, never forget when the Make It a Double-Double tried to copy your kids and realized how hard it was. Except for Mark. Mark is like a Liverpool badge Picasso over there. But yeah, RIP to Adam. Oof. Ryan said a standing shows bring in the question again of how tall the presenters are. Even though, like, if we're all just on camera and not together, but that's why I'll never do a show with Sam Ty in person. No chance. Or if we are, we just have to sit and maybe behind a desk. So our chairs would be like this, but we're like, our heads are the same. Ben said next cap mode is cap 270 in game week 505. I don't know what that is in a new week number. Let's see what that is in the new week. 505 is a midweek. Where is this blog post? Challenger and special events calendar. Here we go. So 502 is game week 1, 2, 3. So it's game week 4 is cap 270. Actually, that and Mike said, I hope the paint color is going to include a fruit in the name. I didn't even think about that. I forget what color it is. It's nothing like crazy. It's like generally like in the gray. I tried to do like more of a neutral, if you will. If I said wander around the room like I do when I'm a phone call, that's kind of interesting. Maybe I just start wandering outside. Then I need a camera. I don't want to do that. Hold on. What were we just talking about? Make it a double, paint color. Man, thrown off. What fruits are gray? Yeah, none. John said, in years to come, we're going to sound like such veterans when game week 500 rolls back around and we say how we preferred the first game week 500. Maybe. Ryan, I have no update on Sorare Data MLB shows. I think I was just bored of football. And so I was like, maybe I'll do baseball. And then all these changes came for football. And yeah, I had to get back to reality. Maybe next season. Maybe. Instead, now we just have to all go watch Hunter's stuff, which is great. Absolutely worth watching over there. He actually does written content too, which is really good. Gets you ready for every game week. Oh man, there was something else I was going to say. New game weeks, projected lineups. I got nothing. Standing. That's the other problem, is that like standing for an hour is kind of a bummer. I know it's like better for me, but no thanks. Yeah, I got nothing. Anyway, we got anything else you guys want to talk about? I felt like the content this week was pretty good. If you are a big PSU Fans 2 fan, I thought Wednesday's show, we did Wednesday with him this week. I did, was really good. It was like peak PSU. And I actually talked to Keith about this because he was like, it was peak Sean because an announcement came out. He immediately recognized the gigantic flaws and kind of appropriately explained what they were. And I thought it was really helpful, and hopefully the right people at Sorare heard the feedback, because I think that there are kind of some glaring issues that need to be addressed. And so hopefully they do that. And John Andrews said, does Sean go back to PSU Fans 1? And Mike said, keep Sean on Wednesdays. He seems less grumpy on a Wednesday. Sean, yeah, he's not going to do that. Right now is when he starts talking about like how busy he is, because he does a lot of college American football. And so that's usually later in the week. And so that's why he originally moved to Monday. Back in the day, Sorare Andrews was early in the week and Sean was late, and we switched it. So JMC FC, that's a new name for me. What were the headlines from Sean's views? You got to go watch the video, man. I'm not in the business of making sure fewer people watch our videos. It's more people. So check it out. It was a good show. I promise you will enjoy it. Minito, what's up? Thanks for coming in as I'm like wrapping up here. And then, what was Monday? Was that Peter and Mike? It was, yeah. That one was excellent. And then Andy said, how busy could he actually be? I want his daily itinerary. You're going to have to bring that up with Sean. And Mike said Sean used to be in this Slack. Was it a Friday? It was a Friday. You're right. Because the strategy show, like the first strategy show, was basically like, how did you do your lineups this week? Like, what did you prioritize and why did you do that? And it kind of moved from that. And then, yeah, when college football started, he was like, I can't do Fridays anymore. So busy. And so that's why we moved him to Monday. Yeah. See, that's how long. Mike, we know you've been around. Mike is arguably the most loyal Sorare data watcher around, which is great. That's why I like Mike so much. Because he's in the chat. He moves the discussions, gives me some great ideas. This show, none of these shows are as good as they are without Mike Baston, honestly. So next week, I think, one day next week, I am going to be joined by two people who have done lots of content, but possibly, I'm fairly sure about this, but I'm like 70% sure, or however much you can say you're sure, and if you're wrong, it's okay, have never done a show together. And it's crazy that they haven't. It's just like somehow it's never worked out, but they're going to be here. I'm not going to tell you the day because that's going to give it away. But yeah, I think I'm already looking forward to it. And one of them, I don't even think knows the other one's coming on. Lairdinho said, I'd like to know how Andy Black can be on a show during work. These are the skills we need to know. Andy claims it's a lunch break, but come on. But yeah. So yeah, I think next week's going to be great in terms of content, but also if there's anything you guys want us to touch on, whether it's strategy or just our opinions on things, we're always happy to do it. Hit me up on either Discord or Twitter. Andrew M. Laird on Twitter. I think it's the same on Discord. Probably is. If it's not, it's Lairdinho. And yeah, if there are any guests that you think that should come on, any people I should talk to in front of you guys, just let me know because I'm always open for that. I've got plenty of ideas, but also I'm happy to go off topic, and we'll see. JMC said Cap 240 for Essence I've seen on Twitter. Apologies if you already touched on that today. I did not. Like that's happening, or that's just somebody's idea. Oh, I was going to say that. I wonder how many of the 40,000 people that entered Cap 250 think it's still threshold. That it like replaced Cap 240. And it's a threshold contest, not realizing threshold's gone. We'll find out. We'll see who's really pissed on Tuesday. Cap 240 for Essence is a community idea. All right. I mean, we'll see. They got to, I hate to say they have to do more with cap mode stuff because because of the low level cards, but maybe they're just worthless. Who knows? We'll never use them. Anyway, thank you to everybody for coming. If you could please like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Shout out to Quinny. Hope he got home safely. Like I said, full shows next week. We're going to, there might be some more, there will be more Sorare data content coming out. It won't necessarily always be streams like this. Might be some shorter form stuff, will be shorter form. But again, if there's anything you guys want to see, I'm always excited to hear other ideas. So please send those along. And yeah, good luck to everybody this game week. I hope everybody wins as much as they can, as long as they're right behind me on the leaderboards. And yeah, good luck and go fuck.